dirt that's right here, we're sitting on right now, has been in my family for about 115 years. Our farm was started by my great-grandfather. It was taken over by my grandfather in 1936, followed by my father and two of his brothers sometime around the early 70s. And then just recently it transitioned down to the fourth generation, which would be myself and my wife. You know, for me, farming is kind of the only thing I've ever really known. Never really had aspirations to do anything off of the farm. I spent my entire childhood, it seems like, riding next to my dad in the 4430 or on the floor of a 7720 combine. And ever since then, it's just something that's it's felt right to me and felt like where I should be in life.
Jason was our youngest son, and from the time he was 1 year old, he started riding in the field with his dad, combining or whatever he was doing. And then when he was about 4 years old, they needed another combiner. And so I was elected, but I hadn't done it before, so they sent Jason out with me, and he would tell me what to do, and I would do it. And that's the way we combined. He spent that whole fall combining with me and teaching me the ropes. And so I always say Jason taught me how to combine when he was 4.
Well, as a young boy, our father made sure we were working, and probably by 7 or 8 years old. So we learned that work ethic, and land becomes part of your family. It seems like I know it's hard to understand, but you don't ever want to lose any of it. It's just nice to have that idea that it's going to be here in the family for a few more generations.
You know, when I started looking at what I was going to do for college, I knew I wanted to go to NDSU because I knew I wanted to be close to home so I could drive back and forth and be here as much as I could be. But I felt like I kind of knew how the machine side works, so that kind of steered me away from the egg systems management. And I really felt like I was weak on the business side, so I went into egg economics. And I think that gave me a good background of how the economics of agriculture and how economics as a whole work, and I think that's a nice baseline to have. You know, I think it's kind of a misnomer for people to assume that farmers are kind of the uneducated people in the world who just don't do what their parents have always done. And things have really started to change, you know, over the last couple decades, where farming is becoming more technical. The equipment is more difficult to run. It's very computer oriented. So much of what we do now is based on science and testing and things like that, following the markets and all sorts of things. You really have to have a wide base of education just to know what's going on and keep your finger on the pulse of everything that affects you.
I have a wide variety of interests, but farming, the way of life, was big with me. Being around growing things and the change in the seasons and the weather and just the wide open spaces appealed to me. So I guess blood is thicker than water. It's kind of the heritage. I took it up and had an interest. And our father supported us. Without that, we'd have not made it. My job in particular was grain sales and the trucking and getting it moved, and field operations when necessary. You get good at what you're doing, you don't want to mess it up. We don't refer to a field by a section number, it's by the guy that owned it previously, or maybe it was probably 80 years ago and we're still using his name on the land, so we do remember them.
What I've enjoyed is sitting back and seeing that they're good stewards of the land. And it's a blessing to love what you're doing. It's way more than a paycheck. It's feeding people, it's taking care of people, loving each other and seeing that others eat. That's what matters. That's what life's about. And if you can do it in a place like this with people you love, what more can you ask for?
I think for most farmers, they probably look at it the same way I do, that once the farm is in your possession, it's your duty to see it through to the next generation. You know, I think my dad and my uncles looked at it that way, that their goal was to make a nice living for themselves while also continuing the family legacy. And I look at it the same way. You know, my sons are 7 and 4. They've got a little ways to go yet, but hopefully that gives me some time to build up a nice farm for them to continue on with in the future.